Ooh, that looks tasty. Welcome folks to The Hungry Gamer is back with another mini preview, and today we are talking about Last Light from Gray Fox Games. Now, for full disclosure, this is a mini preview literally based off of one game. This is just kind of my first impressions because, well, it's kind of the hotness, and I got the pleasure to do a playthrough of it the other night with Don from the Secret Cabal, and then the designer Roy, and then Lance from Undead Viking, just because I asked and they were like, yeah, let's play. And I recorded it, and so you can actually check out the link to that down in the description. However, I was struck by it, so I wanted to kind of get my initial thoughts up. So do keep that in mind. I've literally played this game one time and only digitally. However, what Last Light is it is a 4X game that's taking place kind of at the end of the universe. There's apparently one star left, so it's the last light. Get it? And this last star, everyone's kind of competing over to kind of suck the light out of it, because I guess light is the resource you need to kind of make things happen. And the first player to get to 20 points is going to be the winner, or 20 light is going to be the winner. And as you're going through, you're going to be doing all the 4X stuff that you do, exploring, exterminating, blah, 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 blah. Each player is going to be their own specific faction with their own slightly overpowered thing that they're able to do. But the core of the game is you're going to have your 6 cards, and each turn you're going to play one of those cards. When you play that card, it's going to stay down on the table, and you cannot use it again until you play your refresh card. And then, of course, when you play your refresh card stays down on the table, and that's going to stay down until everybody around the board has also played their refresh card. Then everyone will get to pick that card back up, and then the whole board is going to spin around and rotate. There's kind of 3 sections. There's the outer section, which never moves. There's the center ring, which will turn however far it turns, and then the center ring, I said center ring twice. By center ring, the first time, I meant in between the outer and the inner center, and then the center ring, which is in the middle, and that also kind of spins as well. And so what that's doing is, I guess it's kind of representing the galaxy spinning around and all that stuff, but more importantly, gameplay-wise, it's changing the location of the different planets that you can control and moving your ships around as well. Like I said, as you're going through, you're going to be doing all those 4X things. You're building up your fleet, sending them out, you're going to be attacking, and so on. A quick word about the attacking in the game. It is completely asynchronous is what I'll say. And by that I mean there is no shooting back and forth. If I have played my move and attack card, I will roll my attack, and that is it. The only way you will attack me back is if you also played your move and attack card, and then we will be able to shoot at each other. But beyond that, it's very simple. You know how many dice you have, you know how many hits they can take, you're going to roll it, and either you're going to get nothing on the die, you're going to get a hit, you're going to get hit in a special, and the special will activate various technologies that you've gotten, that you have built up your ships, made them more fancy, if you have any. And you might get the burst being kind of exploding dice. You get that, it's a hit, you can roll again. That means any ship can kill any other ship in theory. And what you're going to be doing is you're going to be kind of moving around and conquering different planets. You take over the planets, you know you own it because you build an extractor on it, which means you'll be able to take a resource from it, and you control it. And some ships will be able to come, and if they have their ship kind of around the planet, they can blow your thing up, or they can just have ships around your planet, which means when you collect resources, you actually won't get any resources from it. I should also say that if you have your extractors in place close enough to the white dwarf star in the center, you'll be gaining light from that. You're also going to be getting light from various technologies. You might get it from that, and by blowing up enough of your opponent's ships, you get enough in your graveyard, you can pass them back and you get light that way. But really, that's kind of the core of how this game works, and I know it's hard to explain without being able to show you anything, but hopefully you've been kind of checking out up in the corner kind of what's been going on as the playthrough video up there. But what do I like about this game? The first thing that I like about the game is it really is fast. There are a lot of games that have promised a 4X experience in a tiny time frame. In fact, one that I like a lot promised that, a Fractal. And Fractal is pretty quick once you get to know it, but it does have its moments where it can slow down and it can be kind of crunchy, even though I still think Fractal is a very fast 4X game. But this one promises to be the fastest 4X game you have ever played. I was like, all right, well, we're going to find out. So we sit down to play the game, and there are 4 of us. Now, Lance is the works with the publisher of the game, and Roy's obviously the designer, so they are masters of this. But Don Baggett, he's played the game once a long time ago, and probably in a previous iteration, so rules have changed. I've never played. And we're on TTS, and max player count for the core game. So that should take a long time. And I, you not, it was under an hour and 20 minutes on TTS. That tells me this game truly is lightning fast. It really is a 4X experience in a tiny, tiny amount of time. So first off, I love that. The second thing that I like is I like the core gameplay of the card play. There's only 6 cards, so there's like 6 things that you can do. Yes, you might have technologies that make them do things a little bit differently, but there's only 6 things that you can do. And as you go through, you can even look around the table and see what people have put down, so you have an idea of what they have left in their hand and what they might actually do. But the thing that makes it work is, and what makes it so fast, is that you are doing it simultaneously. Everyone picks their action at the same time, they put it down, then you flip, and everyone does it. And except in the case of attacks, you can just go do it. You don't have to wait for people to do things. So very rarely do you actually have to stop, pause the game, and wait for things to happen. That's only in combat, and combat is very quick because you're going to roll those dice. It's going to tell you how many hits, and then you take those other ships away, or you don't take those other ships away because you're not shooting back and forth. Fast, 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 fast. And I think it works really, really well. But within those 6 cards, there is a lot more strategy and thought that goes into it than I might have initially thought with only 6 cards. And that's because, as I said, you can look around the table. Now you're speculating on what those other players are doing, which we all know I really like the idea of speculating of what is that player going to do. And then along with that, you have a little bit of programming in there because it's the order of your operation is key. Because if you go mining and then the next round you build more extractors, well, you just messed up because by building those extractors, you could have mined from those extractors and gotten things. If you had just switched it, you would have been better off. But of course, if you do that, maybe you don't have the resources you need to build something else down the road because you needed that material right now. And so there's these trade-offs within these 6 simple actions that are just fascinating to me. All the way down to the refresh card. Because when you play that card, you're not going to be able to pick it up for a while, potentially if you play it early. But by playing it early, maybe that's going to allow you to suck some light out of that white dwarf star before someone comes and blockades your planet and you can't get it. So there's lots and lots of decisions to be made that I think really do work well. The next thing I really like is I like the movement of the board. And I won't lie, when I first saw it and kind of the clicking on the thing on the tabletop simulator kind of moving around, I was like, okay, that's a gimmick. And perhaps it is a gimmick, but it works. And it works because it means you can't just attack your neighbor. That does often happen in some 4X games where you're just wailing back and forth on each other with your neighbor. But this, if you have a ship on the part that's going to rotate, suddenly it's going to move and it's going to be next to somebody else. And you're going to have to plan what you're doing to make sure that when that happens, you are ready to go. But it's hard to plan what you're going to do because you don't know when that last refresh card is going to be played, which is what's going to rotate the board. It is very, very clever. And then I've already alluded to this. The last thing that I particularly like about it is there's no downtime. And you can I even mentioned it in the playthrough is usually when I do a recorded playthrough on a TTS, I'm able to kind of move around and look at what other people are doing. But the camera stayed pretty stable as far as this one goes because there was no downtime. I just didn't have time to do it because by the time I figured out what I was going to do, everyone else was ready to go and we're flipping our cards and we're doing things. And that to me is particularly exciting in this kind of game because downtime can just be painful because for someone like me who tends to play pretty quick, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I'm just waiting again. But this game doesn't have it. So what are my quibbles with the game? And again, keep in mind, I've only played this game once, but this is just stuff that sticks out as maybe this is a thing. The first thing is, there is a little bit of a race aspect to this game that might not be what you are thinking about when you go into a 4X game. And what I mean by that is, there is a definite benefit to be the first person to get into those moving rings or get into the center of the board. Because if you're able to get in there fastest, you're going to wind up getting light and getting a good lead on the other players. So you really do have to move. So that does kind of push some of the strategy earlier in the game. Now, I don't know if it's not possible to win without doing that. But it seems to me that that is kind of the way that you need to go. Again, only played the game once. The other thing that stuck out to me is I do wish that the kind of hidden objectives were a little more interesting. Because everyone starts the game with its 4 or 5 different cards that you can pick as your hidden objective. And they're all the same. It's control X amount of yellow planets, control X amount of blue planets, or whatever it is. And we all have the same thing, so it's holding planets. And I don't know how exciting that is. Again, I only played it once, just something that kind of popped out to me that might be something to think about. But really, that's it. That's Last Light. I think I was skeptical going into kind of playing this. And I won't lie, I wanted to play it, but one, because Don said it was great fun. And two, because I've heard about it so much over the past couple of years, and it had a pretty good amount of hype behind it, so I wanted to check it out. And I will say, for the most part, it lived up to it. I thought this was a good game. I enjoyed it. I would love to play it again, and I'm thrilled to see that it's doing pretty darn well on GameFound right now. So there you have it, folks. That is my initial impressions of Last Light. As always, you can find down in the description a link to the GameFound page, also a link to the 4-person playthrough, which may or may not be up yet, but if it's not up now, it will be up soon. As always, if you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.